Hello, everybody, and welcome to Grimwit with Dimwits. I'm T.
And I'm Blondie. So how much fun was that Berlin concert last night?
I know. So I wasn't sure if you were really excited to see them or not, but they turned out to be really, really good.
They did. And I only know probably 4 or 5 songs that they sing, but she looked fabulous.
Oh, yeah, she looked great. The lead singer looked amazing.
Terry Noon, I think her name is.
I don't know her name, but she was hot.
Yeah, she looked awesome. And she just kept moving and grooving. And
yep. And the band is actually started in the 70s, and then I think she joined in the 80s, so she's old.
We can only say that because she's older than us.
Yes. But no, they were fantastic. What did you think about their cover song?
Honestly, I feel bad about this, but that was my favorite part.
So they did a cover song from AC/DC, one of the best bands ever.
Hello.
And they did Highway to Hell, and they killed it.
Oh, she was awesome. And It's got that voice. I mean, if you close your eyes, it was very close.
Yes. It was female version of
Highway.
Okay, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that.
Couldn't help myself.
I personally was on the Highway to Hell right now, so please stop.
Wow, tell me how you really feel.
So, no, it was fantastic. It was a great night. We got home pretty late, and we're recording in the morning. So
yes.
If we sound concert hungover, we are.
Is that a thing?
My voice is probably a little shot from all the singing.
No, that's just your normal voice.
That's true. I have like a weird smoker's voice, even though I don't smoke.
You're a 5-pack-a-day talker.
That's right. That sound like it.
So tell us about our new little segment.
This is where we go into our brand new segment. We're calling it Current Events 0 Cents. Right? Good name. You're welcome.
Forget the fact that I gave it to you, but okay.
This story is right out of the New York Post. I just thought this was funny. So you know how everybody wants to have a wedding to remember?
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody's not thinking their wedding's going to be remembered for anything like this, but Andrew and Rebecca Fields, they were tying the knot in a beautiful English countryside back in 2023. They're going through all the stuff. They got everything down, all the traditions. Check, check, check. Beauty, beauty, beauty. Then they get to the vows. And in the middle of the vows, the groom accidentally delivered a blast from his romantic past. And he blurted out his ex-girlfriend's name in the middle of his vows.
Oh my gosh.
Didn't that happen on Friends?
I think it did.
I'm sure it did. So the bride, believe it or not, kudos to her, starts laughing. And I guess this makes everybody else laugh.
Way to relieve the uncomfortable situation.
Talk about tension. So she laughs it off, and she tells him now he's going to have to owe her a proper wedding with proper wedding vows.
Wow, look at her go, thinking on the spot and getting a second wedding out of it.
Twofer. But I thought it was great. She's a good sport, let me tell you. And she ended up marrying the guy. So good for them. They're off to a good start.
Kudos to them.
So what story are we doing this week, Miss Blondie?
We are doing a story about a young girl. Well, she started off young, put it that way.
Didn't we all?
Yeah, well. And you know how a lot of our stories talk about how a person's childhood can shape their future?
Yep.
It's something that we hear about all the time. The trauma, the neglect, the abuse, and how it leaves a mark.
Yes, it does.
Statistically, someone who grows up in an abusive environment is 6 times more likely to repeat that cycle. But here's the thing. Most do not. Most find a way out, a way forward. They leave their past behind.
You know, and I'm actually quite surprised to hear that because in the past, we always heard that most victims of abuse do repeat that cycle. And, long ago, there wasn't nearly, if any, support programs like there are now. So it looks like those programs are really paying off and making a positive difference.
I fully agree with that. Progress in multitude of ways.
Yes.
However, there are those exceptions.
Ooh, and there it is.
So let's get our grim on. We're going to talk about one of those exceptions, a teenage girl whose past was dark, but whose choices were even darker. She became the youngest woman ever sentenced to death row in the United States. Her name is Christa Pike. There was a petition to the governor of Tennessee, Bill Lee, to stop her execution. The petition received 1,701 signatures out of 3,200 that was needed. Some of the claims in the petition say this, and I'm only going to read a few. Christa is reported to be the youngest woman sentenced to death in the United States in the modern era. Since Christa's conviction, scientists have determined that the brain does not fully develop until individuals have reached their mid-20s. At the age of 18, Christa's brain development was no different from that of a juvenile, and her execution will be wrong for the same reasons that it is wrong and unconstitutional to execute a juvenile offender.
You know, I agree that 18 is very young, and especially in today's world, because teens seem to be much more immature than years before. You know, like when we were young, we were way more mature. And nowadays, all their daydreaming and entitlement has just really knocked them back a peg, in my opinion. So 21 seems more viable to legitimize adulthood to me.
Well, and when we grew up, remember, we were literally thrown outside all day and had to survive on our own. And the things that we did to fill our hours and our days were dangerous sometimes, as opposed to sitting at home in front of a Game Boy just aged myself, in front of, the internet and games and never going outside. And it's changed. I think it's softened.
Well, they're fantasizing the outside world. We actually had to live in the outside world. And as silly as it sounds, socializing does teach you a lot of things about life.
It does. So Christa experienced severe repeated physical and sexual abuse, violence, and neglect as a child. By the time Christa was 18, she had been raped twice. She bears a network of scars on her back from childhood beatings. The childhood trauma left her with severe post-traumatic stress disorder.
Very sad.
She almost didn't have a chance when she started.
Mm-hmm.
Christa was born with organic brain damage. Despite suicide attempts and mental illness symptoms, Christa did not receive proper psychological or medical care as a child. In fact, Christa was untreated for bipolar disorder and severe PTSD until years after she was imprisoned.
Okay, so I'm going to ask the silly question. What exactly is organic brain damage?
Not a silly question. Organic brain damage is associated with physiological changes to the brain's structure or chemistry. They can be caused by traumatic brain injury from accidents or falls, like stroke, infections like meningitis, or substance abuse.
Okay, well, that's definitely making it clear. I didn't know any of that.
I didn't either, I'll be honest.
You put it in there.
So the last talking point in this petition was life imprisonment is a proper punishment for Christa, just as it is for the nearly 200 women convicted of first-degree murder who did not receive death in Tennessee since 1978. Executing Christa is not proportionate in light of the disparity between her sentence and co-defendant Tadaro Ships.
Okay, I gotta say, I like the name Tadaro.
So let's talk about Christa Pike. She was born on March 10, 1976, in West Virginia to Carissa Hansen and Emil Pike. Her parents had a rocky relationship. 2 years into their marriage, Emil found out that Carissa was cheating, and they divorced. Carissa quickly remarried, but that also ended after 2 years. She is someone that just can't be alone. The second breakup hit her hard, so hard, in fact, that she attempted suicide.
Wow, I have some thoughts on that. When you're a parent, it is the most selfish thing ever to try to kill yourself and leave those kids to fend for themselves. I'll never understand these people.
Well, I think that speaks to her parental ability.
Right.
Christa was neglected most of her life by her parents. It was said that Christa could be found crawling around the house through piles of dog dookie. As a toddler, Christa experienced severe seizures, but her oh-so-nurturing mother wanted to keep partying, so Christa's grandmother would take care of her. Christa felt that her grandmother was the only one that truly, really loved her. Sadly, she passed away in 1988. And at just 12 years old, Christa tried to take her own life. That's just unimaginable. I mean, what kind of childhood drives you to feel like that's the only way out?
This poor kid, her childhood was truly a living nightmare.
Pretty much from the get-go.
From the get-go?
From the get-go.
One word.
You know what? It's my mic. I can say the words I want.
Oh, there it is. Get-go. I see it in here now.
Hello. Pay attention. After her grandmother's death, Christa moved back in with her mother. The instability and trauma continued. Partying, multiple men. Some of the men became abusive both physically and sexually. Christa didn't have a support system or receive any help with the neglect and abuse that was happening to her. Her father, now remarried with a new family, took her in for a time, but she was sent away again after her half-sister accused her of molestation.
Ooh, okay, that's unusual for a sister to molest a sister. She was all kinds of twisted.
She had some things going on. She was building quite a reputation, part of which was being known as a pathological liar. Her mother recalls one incident where Christa said a man had called saying he was going to rape her mother. So Christa and a friend went to a parking lot where this man was and beat him with a stick. I guess if this call actually happened, calling the police wasn't an option.
I guess not. And so two teenagers went and handled a grown man / violent rapist. I'm leaning more towards the pathological liar rumors rather than buying off on this tall tale. But hey, if it happened, my hat goes off to him.
Well, they did have a stick.
And the guy agreed to meet him in a parking lot?
Right. Christa was sharp, capable, and full of potential. But it was clear that her home life had left its mark. She started off doing well in school, but things took a turn around the 10th grade. That's when she ended up in juvenile hall, where she spent nearly a year. After that, her path became even more uncertain. She eventually dropped out of high school. Sadly, she was almost done when she did that. Whatever hope there might have been for stability slipped away. She moved to Knoxville, Tennessee, which at the time was a small town but growing fast. It was said that during this time in Knoxville, there was always something kind of odd going on. Not sure what odd was going on, but I just thought it was funny.
Yeah, a weird way to describe a whole city, but hey, we would fit right in.
Sad but true. In Tennessee, there was a program called Job Corps, a government-run facility that helped low-income youth, ages 15 to 22. It was more than just a school. It was a second chance for these kids. Job Corps was a live-in facility that offered vocational training, career prep, even classes in reading, cultural awareness, and parenting skills. It gave young people the tools they needed to build a future. It worked out great for lots of them. In 1944, Christa enrolled in...
During World War II.
And you know what's funny about it? Is after I said it, my brain was going, 40. God. In 1994, Christa enrolled in the program, signing up for nursing courses. On paper, it looked like a fresh start, a step in the right direction.
Well, good for her trying to better her pretty sad and miserable life. But I do want to point out that Job Corps, a government agency, is recognizing youth up to 22 years old for this program, while the legal system says you're an adult at 18. That's a pretty huge difference maturity-wise. I think it should be the other way around.
Over time, the program also began accepting troubled teens instead of sending them to jail. Christa became part of the troubled crowd. It seems like she almost was drawn toward it.
Mm-hmm.
But she also made a friend. Her name was Kim. The pair would sign out, which is what they had to do for Job Corps. They had to sign in and out.
Mm-hmm.
They would sign out, and they bonded over late-night trolley rides around the city, making the most of what little they had. Sounds like they were doing the most with little to no money and enjoying life. One day, Kim introduced Christa to a friend of hers, 17-year-old Daryl Ship. He saw her, became enamored by her, and wanted to get to know her. They became inseparable. Oh, remember when we were young and life was simple? Remember the hours of making out with a new boy?
I remember making out appropriately. Definitely not for hours on end like you, Cochina.
Appropriately?
Yes. A little smooch, and then you back it up. A little smooch, and beep, beep, beep.
You sound like a party.
Hey, I was a good girl.
Okay, that's your story.
It is my story.
In the same program was 19-year-old Colleen Slimmer, a sweet, quiet girl from Florida studying computers. Florida didn't have a Job Corps program, so Colleen moved to Knoxville. Colleen was excited to get out of her parents' house, be independent, and to go out of the state to school to learn a profession. After a few months, Christa, Daryl, and their friend 18-year-old Shadala Peterson began bullying Colleen, stealing from her and harassing her. Daryl had a crush on Colleen before he met Christa, but the moment he met Christa, his attention shifted completely. But for Christa, that wasn't enough.
Not enough. That sounds suffocating.
A little jealous situation happening. She developed a deep resentment, almost vendetta, against Colleen. Despite Daryl's loyalty, Christa saw Colleen as a threat. Her obsession started to grow, and what began as jealousy soon festered into something more disturbing. Kim noticed things escalating and even noticed that Christa's loathing for Colleen had taken a violent turn. Kim said, quote, "It was a Saturday afternoon. There was probably 12, 13 of us, kind of hanging out, just chatting about people they liked and people they didn't like. Colleen's name came up, and Christa said, 'Oh my God, I'm going to kill her,' end quote. Kim told her, 'Leave that girl alone, that she didn't do anything to you.' Man, we say that all the time to each other."
What, that we'll kill each other?
Yeah, I think I said that to you this morning.
We say it all the time, and sometimes I actually mean it.
We have that recorded for future reference.
You're my next story.
Yes, I'd like to present this as evidence, Exhibit A.
I'll be editing.
I guess it's all fun and games till someone gets hurt. On January 12th, 1995, Christa Pike took her words and turned them into action. Christa went into Kim's room and told her that they were going to go to the park. Kim asked who was going. Christa named herself, Daryl, Shadala, and Colleen. Confused, Kim asked her why. Christa told her that they were going to smoke in the park. She winked, smiled, and left. Kim had a bad feeling about it and wished she had told someone.
Yeah, that wink is never a good sign.
Not when it comes from Christa. The four of them signed out. Colleen, with a hope maybe it was a truce, she went along to hang out and smoke some pot. They walked to Tyson Park, taking a shortcut and going under the bridge. The farther into the park they got, the more remote the location was, and getting farther from where anyone could hear them. Oh, and did I mention that Christa came with a meat cleaver and a box cutter?
No, you did not. A meat cleaver. You know, we can't start with a pocket knife and work our way up? Geez, I guess Christa never heard about levels.
Think about what she did with Colleen. Daryl told her that they were done and she just couldn't let it go. She was a little extreme. When they got to the edge of the park, right on the boundary of the University of Tennessee, things started to turn. Christa accuses Colleen of wanting to be with her boyfriend Daryl, and they started to argue. Quickly, Christa and Daryl turned violent. They began stabbing Colleen, beating her, and chasing her down as she tries to run. Shadala didn't participate, but didn't intervene either. Colleen is begging to be let go, but instead they torment her and refuse to let her leave. Christa continues to stab her. Every time she ran, they would knock her down, punch her, and stab her even more. This continues over and over again. While Colleen begged for her life, Christa was completely unaffected by her pleas. Christa and Daryl take Colleen's jacket and top off. Christa holds her down while Tadero carved a pentagram in her chest.
What the heck?
She was still alive when they did this.
Ugh.
It was part of a satanic ritual, according to them. At one point, Colleen pleaded with them. She said, "Let me go. I'll hitchhike out of here. I'll go home." A final attempt to escape, because she must have sensed what was coming. But by then, mercy wasn't part of the plan. In her narcissism, Christa tells her, quote, "You know it's too late for that. You do know who's killing you," unquote.
Is she referring to herself?
Absolutely.
Ugh.
Cutting wasn't enough. Christa grabbed a piece of asphalt and hit Colleen in the back of the head over and over. Christa said, "Do you know who's doing this to you?" While choking on blood, Colleen said yes. Christa continued to hit her in the back of the head till Colleen eventually stopped moving. Now this part really just gets me. Poor Colleen fought back and was tortured for 45 minutes and was stabbed over 300 times. After Colleen was dead, Christa reached inside the broken and bloodied hole in Colleen's skull and fished out a piece of her skull to take as a souvenir. After the traumatic murder, Christa, Tadero, and Shadala casually walked back, stopping at a gas station to try to clean some of the blood off. Then they signed back into Job Corps like nothing happened. So then Christa goes into Kim's room and tells her the whole horrendous story. She said that wouldn't die. Kim asked her what she meant by that. Christa proceeded to tell her that she cut her throat like 9 times and stabbed her in the back. To Kim's horror, Christa showed her the piece of Colleen's skull like it was a trophy. Kim was in shock and really couldn't say anything. Then Christa told her if she told anyone, she'd kill her too. Christa smiled, winked, and told Kim she loved her and that she would see her in the morning. She's done that before with the whole smiling and winking. It's just too sinister.
It really is. And a vicious killer just told her that she loves her? No, that's not crazy disturbing.
Kim said, quote, "I tried to go to sleep, but it was like a horror movie. It kept playing in my head. And so every time I closed my eyes, I'd see that. I'd see Colleen's face, just like coming at me. I was a naive 16-year-old kid. I had no idea what to do or how to handle it," end quote. Colleen's body was found the next morning, January 13th. She was partially displayed, partially covered up. She was hardly recognizable as a human being. Colleen's mother had been trying to get a hold of her all night, but was told that she wasn't in her room and that she hadn't signed back in. She called again in the morning to the same response. She briefly left to take Colleen's sister to a doctor's appointment, and then when they got back, there was a message on her answering machine from Detective York, asking her to call him back. I don't even want to imagine how she was feeling and what she went through.
Yeah, me neither. And then, of course, what she's about to find out.
Detective York was one of the first to arrive at the scene where Colleen's body had been discovered. What he saw was chilling. Colleen was found wearing only a pair of jeans. Her chest had been carved with a massive, deep, and unmistakable pentagram. Her throat had been slashed, and there were multiple cuts on her forehead as if someone had taken their time inflicting pain. It wasn't just a murder. It was ritualistic, personal, brutal. This wasn't random. It was rage. Detective York's next stop was the Job Corps. Now, I wondered why that was his next stop, since the university was right there too. It had to do with the pentagram and its association with Satanism. Knoxville was a Bible Belt, so Satanism is an oddity and not common. In that area, there were a few students who were known to practice Satanism, and they attended the Job Corps. Can you guess who they were?
I sure can.
Detective York began piecing things together, starting with the Job Corps' security protocols. He spoke with the on-site security officer and asked to see the sign-out sheet from the night before. 4 students had signed out that night, but only 3 had signed back in. There was no signature for Colleen Slimmer. She never made it back, and now the detective had a timeline and a list of names. A police officer was assigned to each room to lock them down. One by one, the detective interviewed each student. In Tadero's room, there was a satanic altar, a satanic Bible, and satanic literature. In Christa's room, there was more of the same. They were deep into Satanism, so much so that Christa had a little devil tattoo on her chest. And every time I picture her, she's this tiny little girl with a fair complexion and long red hair, not all the things that you'd imagine by the description of what happened.
Yeah, I saw a picture of her, and she almost looks angelic in real life.
She does.
And I wonder if they called Tadero Tada as a nickname. I would.
Random girl. The 3 students, Christa, Tadero, and Shadala, were taken into custody. Colleen's dental records were requested for ID. During questioning, something about Christa's behavior was unsettling. She didn't just recount what happened, she performed it. She acted out the entire scene, playing both herself and the victim. She showed how Colleen had begged for her life, even getting down on the floor to mimic her pleas. And the most disturbing part, Christa was smiling. She didn't hold anything back. She was described as giddy, not nervous, not remorseful, but giddy, almost playful, like she was proud of what she'd done, like it was something worth celebrating. To her, it wasn't a confession. It was a performance and a highlight reel. Throughout all this, I keep remembering that she is just 18. Did her upbringing affect her to the point that she had no empathy or realization?
Apparently it did. And now she's taken attention whore to a whole new level. It's ridiculous. I mean, she's passing out popcorn and goobers. I mean, this is horrifying.
On January 15th, 1995, Christa, Tadero, and Shadala were charged with murder. 14 months later, in March 1996, Christa's murder trial began. It was said she completely enjoyed the attention and would walk into the courtroom, look around, and wave at people that she knew. She giggled and laughed with her attorney or wrote notes to her mother during the trial. It was like she was some kind of celebrity, getting the attention she always wanted. However, one thing she didn't do was look at Colleen's mother. Even her parents didn't acknowledge or talk to Colleen's mother. As the trial went on, Christa's friend Kim testified and talked about how after the murder, Christa came in to tell her all about it and how happy she was. Christa even danced around the room. I don't care how young you are, that's just heartless.
It really is.
Now remember, Colleen was tortured for 45 minutes, which included being beaten, stabbed over 300 times, so many, actually, that the coroner couldn't count them all. There were 9 slashes across her throat, the pentagram carved into her chest, and then finally her skull was bashed in with a piece of asphalt. These were the things that Psycho Christa was happy and dancing about. I don't understand this part. The jury was shown Colleen's skull along with the missing part that Christa took. They were not only shown the skull and the missing piece, but they were asked to pass it around. Colleen's mother was extremely upset, yet quietly emotional during this. If you didn't stay quiet during the trial, you could get kicked out. I know she probably just wanted to stand up and scream.
Geez, I would have protested loudly at having my daughter's skull passed around for all to handle. Nobody should be touching anything that was inside my daughter's body. It's so unbelievable that they thought this was okay.
Like I said, I don't understand this part. On the other hand, while the jurors were looking at the skull, Christa sat at the table and cried. It makes me wonder, was it remorse? Was she horrified at what she did? Or the realization that she did that and she was just done?
I don't think she had any type of empathy. I think, no doubt, she was only crying for herself.
Hopefully it was a realization finally. On March 29, 1996, 18-year-old Christa Pike was found guilty of the murder of Colleen Slimmer. After deliberating for 90 minutes, The jury came back with a sentence of death. Detective York said, quote, "The jury took, I think, around 90 minutes to convict her on the death penalty, and that was unheard of to come back that quick. I think that even included an hour for lunch. So they knew there was no good in her either." End quote. Her sentence was to take place on January 12, 1997. The judge said, "Your body shall be subjected to shock by sufficient currency of electricity."
I think burning on the inside is appropriate for her.
And I know how you feel about that.
Yeah, that's pretty rough, but I'm sorry, she's got it coming.
And it should take 45 minutes.
Exactly. Slow it down.
Now our little Christa, instead of being horrified that she was going to be put to death in about 10 months, writes a letter to Tadero and astonishingly says, "Hey, love, can you believe they did this to me? Huh, I tried to be nice to her, and look what they did to me. That sucks." All while kind of laughing, no remorse at all.
Unbelievable. Poor Christa. She really doesn't get it at all.
Colleen's mother felt the sentence was just, but that they should put her to death right then and there.
I agree. And bring the popcorn.
Honestly, let's not forget about prisoners have rights. They have to go through all the appeal processes. But I'm with her mother. There's absolutely no mistaking that Christa had killed Colleen. So what is she going to appeal?
Exactly. Just use the system, the broken system.
Tadero Shipp was found guilty and received a life sentence plus 25 years. However, is up for parole next year in 2026. Shadala Peterson turned informant and pled guilty to being an accessory after the fact. She received a 6-year probationary sentence. She was off probation 20 years ago. Both Shipp and Peterson were 17 at the time of their trials, so they were treated as minors. Christa was sent to Deborah K. Johnson Rehabilitation Center in Nashville to wait for her execution. And yet, the story continues.
Ta-da!
Locked in her cell for 23 hours a day, 1 hour outside, no contact with the outside world aside from her legal team, and tightly monitored correspondence. Even behind bars, Christa found ways to keep herself in the spotlight. In 2001, she started a romantic relationship with fellow inmate Natasha Cornett. Natasha had her own violent history, convicted for her role in the 1997 Lillard murders in Tennessee. Their romance was intense, obsessive, and dangerous.
Were they physically able to be together?
I don't think so. I was actually reading on how inmates that are on solitary confinement can communicate. I want to say letters and things like that.
And there's a thing that they do through the toilet too, right?
Okay, no.
They get all the water out and it opens up the pipes and they can talk to each other and deliver notes to each other. And stuff, like they could put stuff in bags and they figured out how to get it to each other's cells.
I'm a little worried that you know that.
I saw it somewhere and I thought it was actually pretty genius. They got nothing to do but focus on this stuff.
Well, that and there's toilet wine. That I know.
I know about toilet wine too, but I'm telling you, anything in the toilet, count me out.
Ugh.
I don't even want to hear somebody's voice in the toilet.
They clean it out, empty the water. What if they have to go?
I don't know. Maybe there's like times when you can't go because it's just, I don't know. I've never been in jail before.
No way.
But they got this figured out.
Okay.
Interesting, huh?
Right. Also housed in the same facility was Patricia Jones, another violent inmate with a brutal past. She and Natasha didn't get along at all, and Christa, ever loyal to her new partner, took sides. On August 24th, 2001, an opportunity arose. A fire broke out in the prison, and in the chaos led to all three women being placed in a holding cell together. That's when it happened. Natasha lunged at Patricia and missed. Christa snuck up behind her, wrapped a shoelace around her neck, and began strangling her. They fell to the floor. Christa pulled tighter. Patricia's eyes began to bulge. She stopped breathing. By the time the guards got the door open, Patricia was unconscious. They had to perform CPR to bring her back. Christa, she bragged about it. Again.
Of course.
She told staff that she could hear Patricia gurgling as she choked. It excited her.
Yeah, this girl is she's not even a girl at this point, 2000, what was that?
2001.
2001. Well, maybe she still is young.
She's young.
She's way too far gone for anybody to feel sorry for her, in my opinion. And maybe this is why they don't allow prisoners to have shoelaces anymore.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, because now they all have to wear chanclas.
They are assigned their orange jumpsuit and chanclas.
And I think the chanclas are orange too. I don't know, like they're all oranged out.
She went to trial for the attempted first-degree murder. On August 12, 2004, she was found guilty. Another 25 years was added to her sentence. She had nothing to lose. I mean, she was already on death row.
That's right. Give her $2,500. It'll make no difference in her lifetime.
By 2011, Christa was receiving letters from admirers. Men began writing letters to her, and she starts taking advantage of that. There was one man in particular, a personal trainer from New Jersey named Donald, who was in his early 30s. Donald became infatuated. He started making the 1,700-mile round trip to visit her once, sometimes twice a month. Eventually, Donald hatches a plan to help Christa escape, but they needed help, so they enlisted Justin Heflin, a correctional officer. Justin was given cash and gifts for his participation. Justin removed a key from his ring, took it home, and had it copied. He returned the original, hoping no one would notice, but somebody did. Before the escape could happen, prison personnel received information about the escape plan and stopped it. In March 2012, both men were arrested. Donald was charged with bribery and conspiracy to commit an escape. He was convicted and sentenced to 7 years at the Tennessee Northeast Correctional Complex. At least he was closer to his beloved. I do say that while I'm rolling my eyes. Correctional Officer Justin was charged with bribery, official misconduct, and conspiracy to commit an escape. He cooperated with authorities and didn't serve any time. However, needless to say, he was fired from his job.
He should have served time.
Christa wasn't charged with anything. I mean, really, at this point, what is the point? More time after she's gone?
Again, she can pretty much do whatever she wants at this point.
A reporter said, quote, "For her, it's all a part of the spotlight. The attention feeds into her sense of identity. I'd bet that in Christa's mind, she sees it as her status, something she believes she's earned. She sees herself as someone intriguing, someone men are naturally drawn to because of who she is and what she's done," end quote. To her, the infamy isn't a consequence, it's validation. Christa Pike's execution date was supposed to be set in 2020, but because the world shut down, they delayed the date, and by November 2022, she had exhausted all her appeals. Still, her legal team didn't stop. They filed a lawsuit arguing that Christa was being kept in unconstitutional conditions, that the men on Tennessee's death row were given more time out of their cells, more access to programs, human interaction. Does this bother anyone else? How is she able to have rights after she killed Colleen and Colleen's gone?
Our system is so ridiculous and messed up. I'm so overhearing about these prisoners who have so many rights and everybody's so worried about them. They're in prison for a reason.
September 2024, a settlement was finalized that got her out of isolation, granted her behavior-dependent opportunities. She will have more time out of her cell, be able to have meals with other inmates, and be allowed to work a job. Her attorney said, quote, "For Christa, this not only means a reprieve from decades of harmful conditions, but an opportunity to have a meaningful, positive impact on those around her," end quote.
Yeah, because that's what she did the first time.
If we cussed on this show, I'd be cussing right now.
We cuss, we just don't put it on there.
That's right. That's a different rating. Her attorney went on further to say, quote, "When a person is incarcerated, the state has the responsibility to treat them fairly and to refrain from incarcerating them in conditions that violate the Eighth Amendment's prohibition on cruel and unusual punishment. By filing this lawsuit and reaching this settlement, Ms. Pike has the opportunity to experience basic human interaction needed by all persons," end quote.
Colleen needed some basic human interactions and kindness as well.
Today, Christa is one of only 52 women on death row in the U.S. If she is executed, she would be the first woman in more than 200 years to be killed in the state of Tennessee. As of May 2024, she still does not have an execution date. Christa Pike is currently 49 years old. I am Colleen's voice, and I always will be. And once I'm gone, and if it still isn't settled, Colleen's baby sister will be my voice, and it will continue until we get satisfaction through the state, said Colleen's mother. So here we are, 30 years later, a young woman's life stolen, a mother is still fighting, and a killer is still very much alive. When asked about the electric chair, Christa responded, quote, "I don't really think about it. I don't think I'm ever going to see it. I still have hope. I don't think I deserve to be here." End quote.
And scene.
What else is there to say? I mean,
not much. She still hasn't learned.
She's delusional and living in her own world still.
Yep. So she's exactly where she needs to be.
I beg to differ, but...
Well, she should be in the chair already, but you know how our system is.
I know. And this is Tennessee.
Yeah.
I didn't even look up their death penalty.
I wish this had happened in Texas. There would be nothing left to say. We want to thank our listeners. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to have fun, take care, and let your imaginations run wild. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
We want to thank you for spending a little time with us. We truly appreciate it. If you'd like to send in your creepy little Grimbits, we'd love to hear your personal stories, eerie interests, or strange suggestions. And don't be shy. We love our listeners, and we're excited to hear from you. Email us at grimwitwithdimwits@gmail.com.
Stay connected and follow Grimwit with Dimwits on Instagram, X, Facebook, and YouTube. Also, check out our website for more spooky fun at, you guessed it, Grimwit with Dimwits. We'd also really appreciate it if you take a moment to rate and review the show. Those 5-star ratings go a long way. Until then, join us again as we dive deep into the strange and unusual things we just can't wrap our skulls around.